Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Game Sports Show. It is March the 8th, 2018. It's yours truly, Dave McKeag, here live at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, where you are among friends. And we're here at Boston Pizza for its daily special. You got the $9 schooners for the Molson Canadian and the Coors Light products. We got the $4 bar rails and the half price off appetizers. And it's always a great live atmosphere here at Boston Pizza, much like it is tonight and every night. Come on down to Boston Pizza where you are among friends and enjoy these daily specials. And we're going to get to a couple more promotions that Boston Pizza is going to be featuring on behalf of St. Patrick's Day and the Game Sports Show in just a couple seconds here. I just got to list the other additional sponsors to the Game Sports Show, including with Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. We have Sports Center Bar and Grill. We have North Shore Sports and Auto, The Salon, the Superior Pro Shop, Discover the Canvas here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And with Sioux, Michigan, we have The Wicked Sister and Pingator Cleaners. And much thanks to those sponsors. And can't forget our new sponsors that are officially going to be launched as sponsors on the Game Sports Show at the conclusion of this month with Northern Critters in Need and Big Brother, Big Sister that are going to be affiliated with our merchandise. Now, with Boston Pizza's other promotions that we have going on here with St. Patrick's Day, we know St. Patty's Day is coming up on next weekend. It's one of the great party times of the year, and they have a party here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie that you do not want to miss out on. They're going to have their green beer here. The prize that they're going to have is going to be something absolutely big. And you don't want to miss out on this prize, and the prize will hopefully be announced next week, obviously, here on the Game Sports Show next Thursday. And also, you'll be able to catch what the prize will be next week on the Boston Pizza Facebook page. And the prize, like I said, is going to be absolutely unbelievable. And on St. Patrick's Day, we have the one-man show, Sheldon Jaskalainen. And the only person in Sault Ste. Marie who plays an Irish fiddle in town is going to be here. So if you really want to feel the St. Patrick's Day feel and get really into the St. Patrick's Day, they'll make anything green for you too, except they can't turn you into the Hulk, so you don't want to get into that, but they'll make anything green for you. It starts at 8 p.m. here, and more information will follow on the Boston Pizza Facebook page and next week on the Game Sports Show, and they will have their daily specials going on at that current time as well, which, like I said, is going on right now and goes on daily. $4 bar rails, $9 schooners, and half price off apps giveaways. With Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, we also have another promotion that we're going to have here, and the date has changed. March 15th of next week will not be our picture day, as we were talking about last week. The picture day will be on March the 17th, where we're going to have the whole crew of the Game Sports Show here at Boston Pizza taking some pictures, and the pictures are going to be promoted around town here in Sault Ste. Marie and in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. We're going to have some stellar pictures of the crew and information on where you can follow the Game Sports Show on the Podbean and YouTube page. Now, speaking of Podbean, you go to thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Simply click us through Facebook, or you can download the app on your phone for free. You can have an iPhone, you can have a Google phone, you can have a Samsung phone. Heck, you can still have a BlackBerry if you're still into that, and you can download the free app of Podbean. You just download it, and then you search the Game Sports Show, and there we are. You simply just hit follow. That's all you do. Very simple. Just click on it, follow, and we appreciate the support that we get with our followers. And I know I've been getting a lot of feedback in terms of the process of following. It's very simple. Download, hit follow, or click through Facebook and hit follow on thegamesportshow.podbean.com. You can also listen to previous shows of the game, the Monday edition, the Wednesday or Thursday edition, and other special editions on that Podbean page and on the YouTube channel, which is on the Scott Nason YouTube channel, which eventually will be changing to the Game Sports Show's own YouTube channel, but we'll have that announcement for you when that occurs. You can just go to Scott Nason's YouTube channel to follow the show as well, and also leave comments and observe past and current shows of the game. And with the upcoming show schedule, we do have one more alteration. I'm going to tell you, we did say last week that this would be the last week of some schedule changes. However, next week we do have some schedule changes as the Brimley Bays team will be playing on Monday, so there will be no game sports show on Monday at the Wicked Sister. And we will be planning a Sports Center Bar and Grill show next week. It'll either be on Monday or Wednesday next week. Just ensure to check out Scott Nason's or myself, Dave McKaig's Twitter page, and also obviously following the GameSportsShow.podbean.com for that special edition of the Sports Center Bar and Grill show next week. But we will be back here at Boston Pizza next Thursday, March the 15th, usual time. And so next week we'll only have 2 shows here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and we plan to be back at the Wicked Sister the following week, which will be March the 19th at 6 p.m. with myself and Scott Nason. And in regards to the shows with the Game Sports Show, just a friendly reminder, Mondays we're 6 to 7 live on WPN 95.1, and then 7 to 8 pre-recorded. That is at the Wicked Sister with myself, Scott Nason, Butch Davis, and EJ Russell. And on Wednesdays, with the usual schedule, will be myself, Jamie, and on occurrence, Dane and Justin and Dustin are there doing the Sports Center Bar and Grill show, where we talk our famous In the Pocket segment. We got basketball, and next week we got a lot of basketball, especially to talk about those Toronto Raptors clinching a playoff spot, the first team to clinch a playoff spot. But that is the Wednesday show, where we record at 9:30, depending on the week. But usually around 9:30, we are there, and we have the basketball, we have the football, and we have our newly implemented roundtable discussion. Then every Thursday, we are here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, where you're among friends at 9:30, where myself, Justin, and Dane, and newcomer, officially in his second week, officially on the show as a staff member and analyst, Brad Cochimilio, of the panel of 4 here at Boston Pizza. And well, it's going to be a panel of 3, and when summertime comes, as Dane Hantrell will be going back over to Red Lake to fight some forest fires. But it's glad that Brad's on the show, and the panel here Thursdays 9:30 to 11 at Boston Pizza. If you have any concerns or questions in regards to the schedule and next week's changes to the schedule, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Scott Nason through the Podbean page, YouTube, or social media, Twitter and Facebook. Now, we're going to have the trivia question here that I'm going to bring up. And the trivia question, famous every week. You get some free prizes courtesy of Boston Pizza. The trivia question last week was, what was the total number that added up with the jerseys at sports bar part of Boston Pizza? What is the total amount that it added up to be? And we had an answer that was selected to be the winner. And the answer was 411. And the winner is Emily Abe. Emily Abe submitted her answer via email and also through social media to get the answer in on time, and was the selected winner with answering 411 for the total jersey amount that add up at Boston Pizza with the sports bar side with the jerseys. Congratulations to Emily. You have won a free large pizza courtesy of Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. You can pick up that prize just coming in to Boston Pizza and using the Game Sports Show reference, showing that you've liked, shared the show, and your tag in the show on Facebook and in the description on the Podbean page. Again, congratulations to Emily Abe on winning that prize. Now for this week, we have a new question, and it's a very good question that actually stumped myself and the panel here. Name the 8 beers on tap here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. Again, name the 8 beers on tap here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. And again, the 8 beers on tap, and you can send that answer at the Game Sports Show, ssm@gmail.com, or you can answer that through the YouTube page at Scott Nason's YouTube page, or on the GameSportsShow.podbean.com with the comment section, or simply answering the question on Facebook through me, or even text message to get submitted into the prize draw and a chance to win a prize courtesy of Boston Pizza. And again, name the 8 beers that are on tap here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. We're going to take actually a quick break, and before I go to that break, I'm going to let you know for tonight's show, the agenda. It'll be myself, Justin Heichel, Dane Hantrell, and Brad Cochimilio. Full panel today. We're going to be talking about the NHL. We're going to have Leafs chats. We're going to have injuries chat. We're going to have trophy chat. We're going to have basic NHL updates that meet your needs. And there'll be myself, Dane, and Justin spearheading that with Brad's input as well. And then after that, we're going to be talking the NOJHL, the playoff picture, the playoffs upcoming. And then we're going to be talking about the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds that had their game tonight, an unfortunate loss to Windsor, and upcoming games with the season finale coming up March the 18th and playoffs just around the corner. We're going to have Brad Cochimilio really dissect dissect the junior hockey scene with the NOJHL and the OHL. We're going to take a quick break. After we come back and hear from our sponsors, I'm bringing the boys in, Justin, Dane, and Brad. Don't go anywhere. Here, you're listening to The Game Sports Show.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to The Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsoo.as.me-. The Salon, making the Sioux beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop. The Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Sioux Pee Wee Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Hi, this is Joe Bowen, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show from Sault Ste. Marie.
And welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McKeag, here live at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, where it's their after 9 p.m. daily specials. Live atmosphere here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, as always. We're among friends. Got the $9 schooners for Molson Canadian and Coors Light products. Gotta love those Molson products. The $4 bar rails and the half price off appetizers. And just like you heard in the introduction, you know, they have a lot of promotions going on here. And with St. Patrick's Day, can't miss out. The prize will be announced very soon, social media and through the Game Sports Show, where they're going to have a big prize announced. They're going to have green beer. They're going to have a one-man show, and Sheldon Jaskalainen, the only person to play the Irish fiddle in town, and it starts at 8 p.m. And that's Saturday, March the 17th, where we're going to have Picture Day as well at noon for the Game Sports Show. And with the Game Sports Show here, we're going to continue on tonight's show. And for this segment of the show, we're going to be talking the NHL. And for tonight, it's just going to be myself, Justin, Dane, and Brad. We have no guests, no interviews this week, because next week, we do got an action-packed week in terms of interviews. We have Colin Miller and Tyler Kennedy on next week on the show, so that's going to be exciting stuff to put on to an, as always, action-packed sports show here on The Game. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in the crew. I'm going to put the mic towards their mouths as I introduce them. Yours truly, Dave. I'm going to first introduce Justin Heichel. Justin, how are you tonight, sir?
Oh, not too bad. Back from a month-long absence from the show, I'd say.
A little bit of a leave of absence there, but the flu did kick in there and falling asleep on the couch. Just joking.
A couple couch naps here and there.
And then to my left, I got Dane Hantro. Daner, the countdown's on before you go back to Red Lake. Almost said Elliott Lake. But before you go back to Red Lake, another month. But glad to see you here, sir.
Yeah, Dave, thanks for having me. Excited that I'm going to make picture day with the boys there. It reminds me of the elementary school, high school days. So, yeah, excited to dress up and look good for the photo shoot there.
It's going to be quite the photo shoot. It's actually the effects. I'm not even going to tell you what the effects are going to be. I just need you guys to be there, look prompt. And I'm kind of wondering if you're going to wear an Oilers jersey or wear a dress shirt. I'm certainly hoping that you and Justin go dress shirt, but I'm kind of worried you guys are wearing jerseys, which is fine. I'm prepared for that. But to my right tonight, new member of the Game Sports Show. Got my official package of 4. I got the panel, my dream panel. Brad Cochimilio. Pal, how you doing?
Dream panel. I like the sounds of that.
The dream panel.
Being included in a dream panel. I like the sounds of that a lot, actually.
Like when the visions were of the show, I closed my eyes. Myself and Scott closed our eyes. Justin Heichel and Dane were in there along with Brad, and I could picture Mitch Wilson serving Molson products to us, and we're talking sports show all the time.
Wow, you're really milking this for all it's worth. I like it.
I'm good at being a brown noser. You could probably ask my superiors at my other jobs. But moving on to that, fellas, we got some NHL talk we're going to talk about here first before we get into good old junior scene after the next break. And fellas, we're going to jump into the injury side. And the injury bug in the National Hockey League has hit it quite hard. I like to say, first off, myself and Justin being Toronto Maple Leaf fans, Austin Matthews has been injured in a red jersey out at practice. And Mike Babcock had a pretty funny comment when he saw Austin Matthews out there in a red jersey. What do you say there, Justin? Just remind the listeners.
He said, I know he was out there in a red jersey, but last time I checked, there wasn't any red in our team's jerseys, so I don't think he'll be playing anytime soon.
I thought that Thomas Plekanec forgot to take off his Montreal practice jersey. That's who I thought it was at first. But then I realized that Plekanec doesn't skate like that, doesn't look like that, doesn't shoot like that. I think Austin still shoots better than Thomas Plekanec, and he's injured. No offense to Thomas Plekanec, good addition, but Austin Matthews is one of the superior guys in the league. But Dane, Austin Matthews being down, big loss for the Leafs, but there's other teams who have big losses as well. Charlie McAvoy with the Bruins, who's been an absolute stud in that back end for the Boston Bruins this year, out 4 to 6. Brock Besser, out 4 to 6 weeks as well. A guy who was a favorite for the Calder, next alongside Matt Barzal. Kind of seems like Barzal got a clear-cut road now to winning the Calder, it seems like. But these are some big injuries to the team. The Leafs, they did good when Austin first went down. They won that handful of games, but now they've been inconsistent the past handful of games without him. Boston seems to be okay right now without McAvoy. And Brock Besser with the Vancouver Canucks. They weren't really playoff-bound as it was anyways, but it's never good to lose a star guy. These injuries, I'll let you discuss which one you want to jump into.
Austin Matthews getting injured. The Leafs have obviously proven that they can win without Austin. The depth just up front is, you got to think, probably have the best third line in hockey up there anyways. So I think they'll be all right. Like I said a couple shows ago, they're pretty much guaranteed third place. They're not falling out of a playoff spot. So I think, you got to be careful of Austin Matthews. You want him to be ready come playoff time. And, they're in the position to, take it slow with him, make sure he's ready to go. And once he is, it's going to be right around the corner from the playoffs. So, get a couple games in before that, get his legs back, and, should be good to go. I think Charlie McAvoy is probably the biggest loss that's going to affect the team out of the three. Boston, he's been, other than Chara, their second-best defenseman, if not, equal with Chara there. So that's a big loss for Boston. I think they're probably definitely trying to compete for the first overall seed in the Eastern Conference. Home ice is nice. I think that's definitely going to hurt them. And Brock Besser, I think you can pretty much just give Matt Barzal the Rookie of the Year trophy now because without him it was pretty much a two-headed horse race there. And Vancouver, they'll miss them. They weren't really doing much with the season anyways. I think, they're pretty much looking to the future. But, it's sad to see. I think it was, going to be a really close race down the stretch between those two. But either way, you got to give Besser credit there. He's been unreal playing on a really bad team, and he's shown that he's going to be a really good player down the road.
Absolutely, and I would go to Brad Kochmilio, but Brad just gave me the tap on the shoulder. He had to answer a phone call, some duty calls from Soo today with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds tonight. So when Brad's off the phone, we'll get him back here on the panel. So Justin, I'm going to go over to you quickly with a comment about these injuries with Austin, Charlie, and Brock. Austin Matthews, we're going to discuss the Leafs a bit later in the segment, but big injuries, big losses, especially in terms of teams that want to go above in seeding. I know Toronto's goal was to try to get to second. It seems like that with the games in hand Boston have and the spread that we have right now, it's looking a bit more difficult. They're probably even looking beneath them right now at Florida, who is a team we're going to talk about a little momentarily as well, who's been quite hot, who's steamrolling Montreal right now as we speak too. Not that we're saying we're going to catch up, but they got to focus on just clinching that playoff spot and get in there and getting healthy. The injuries here, though, Brock Besser's probably the most unfortunate one. We were going down to the wire, seeing a very close rookie race, but now it seems like the individual Matt Barzal, who looks like Pavel Datsuk and Mark Savard squeezed out a kid together, that's the individual who's probably a clear cut going in.
Charlie McAvoy has to be your third guy in the conversation. So
Absolutely.
Pretty much Matt Barzal, with these guys getting injured, it was pretty much his two main competitors when it comes to the Calder Trophy race. So you got to think Barzal has it in the bag now.
Absolutely. Justin, I'll let you comment about these injuries.
Well, I mean, for me, like Brock Besser going down was probably the most disappointing, as I was really enjoying watching them. Like, not enjoying watching Vancouver play, but enjoying watching Vancouver games to see him play. I mean, that kid was electric this year, and I really do. I was hoping he was going to win, but I don't know. And like Dane said, like McAvoy was probably third. And you lose two of the top three guys for, in the best rookie running. Like, it's kind of a bummer. That's for those teams that had nothing to play for, like those late night games, or I'm usually staring at the TV at 12:30 when I wake up from one of my famous couch naps. Those games were interesting to watch. Now I got nothing. I got to watch Louis Eriksson. Like, yeah, come on. I would go on my Xbox to watch some of those KHL games instead.
The injuries for sure taking a toll, and the one that I know Justin, me and you are one with our fingers crossed, is Austin Matthews. Better hurry back. They got a game against Pittsburgh Saturday. Doesn't seem like that Austin has a timetable for his return. They are aiming for next week against Dallas, but we will see when good old number 34 is back in the lineup for Toronto. Next topic, boys, we're going to jump into is Ron Francis. Sioux boy, Sioux native. Someone that we actually hope to get on the show this summer when he returns home. Very difficult to reach right now in terms of getting him on the show. But Sioux native Ron Francis, one of the highest assist points guys ever to play the game. Former Leaf, if you all remember that trade deadline. Well known for playing in Pittsburgh and for Hartford/Carolina. Ron Francis was the GM of the Carolina Hurricanes until a couple days ago when he, quotations, stepped down as GM. Now, we all know hockey's a business. We don't know the insides of a lot of news, just what we can get as media individuals. Ron Francis stepped down as a general manager and has, I guess you can say, promoted to president of hockey operations, or moved over to president of hockey operations, whatever you want to call it. Don't forget Brendan Shanahan is the president of hockey operations Toronto, and he runs that whole area when it comes to Dubas, Lamoriello, and Hunter. I'm sure Shanahan doesn't tell Lamoriello what to do, because Lamoriello's been there since who can know when, the exact date at the top of my head, but Ron Francis is now the president of hockey operations in Carolina, a team that had actually a lot of promise coming into this year with Sebastian Aho, a team that they thought would maybe be a wild card team, but doesn't seem like that is going to be the case this year, and their immediate search of getting a GM has taken place. Now, I'm going to jump over to Justin first in terms of comments on this move, and even if you have somebody in mind who might take over for Ron Francis.
I mean, it's tricky right now without kind of cruising the internet and doing a little bit of digging to see what kind of prospects are out there. But the timing of the move, I find, is really peculiar. I guess, a team like Carolina, they're not really going to progress any further this season. I mean, this season is what it is. They're like the Ottawas, it's March. I mean, your destiny's it's going to be what it's going to be now. So, I don't know if they're just trying to get an early edge on maybe some of the GM candidates out there. Do they maybe have a specific candidate they're looking at with the idea of Ron Francis mentoring them? Kind of like the Lamoriello-Dubas situation. Because you can see in Arizona's a prime example of an unmentored, new hotness young GM, and it doesn't really shake out. I mean, he's had some missteps, whereas the group in Toronto, you don't look at any move so far. You don't view any move that they've made as a misstep. Whereas everything Chuck has done in Arizona, you put under a microscope. Everyone in the sports media puts it under a microscope. So maybe Carolina's looking at the Toronto example and saying, we want to put someone in a mentorship role and go from there. I don't know. It just, to me, the timing's peculiar, but it could just be getting an early edge on the market.
That's definitely a fair statement, Justin. I got to say, because Ron Francis and Carolina is the hockey market that's not as attractive to individuals to potentially go to, but this kind of cautions me. I wonder if they're going to try to target Kyle Dubas, and we all know how that happened with Colorado. Didn't really work out. I think Toronto probably told Dubas that, hey, I know it's you and Hunter there, but when Lamoriello, whose contract we're going to get to a little bit later, is expired, he's the guy. Maybe Carolina does try to get a younger guy at the helm there to work with that younger team, and like you said, follow that Toronto protocol, or maybe get a senior guy in there, then hire a young guy to be his assistant to be groomed. Now, very peculiar move for sure. Surprised of the move, to be honest. I thought they would at least finish out the year, but like you said, trying to get a leg up for the summer would definitely make sense. Ron Francis stepping down, I think that's actually a good move, to be honest. I think you should focus on the president of hockey operations side and let somebody else who is more, who's been outside of the game as a player. Not just, don't go hire a Joe Sakic, Steve Yzerman, someone who's played. I hope Carolina hires somebody who has the hockey knowledge, but also the business knowledge to make the right hockey moves. Someone who necessarily hasn't played in the National Hockey League. I think that's the best benefit for the Carolina Hurricanes, potentially. Unless you can get Steve Yzerman, which is not happening because he's pretty concrete in Tampa Bay, but it's just an example I'm using there. Then maybe you can consider that if it's a star-studded player to try to get fans in your seats. I understand that business aspect, but in terms of what's best for the organization, I think it might make sense to get somebody who is both business and the hockey sense end. And Brad, I know you're just coming back over. You're on the phone. You're a busy guy. I like that. I didn't get your comments on. I know you got some work to do too, but before I kind of lose you for the next break, I want to get your comments on Ron Francis. Was now stepped down from the general manager position with Carolina, step down in quotations that we like to use. And now, what do you think of the move, and what do you think of a potential replacement? Because the immediate search has taken place for his replacement.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I think I was just surprised as anybody the way it kind of played out. I mean, it's weird in the way they've approached it. Like you said, I mean, it's step down, quote unquote. But I mean, speculation, did he really step down, or was it one of those things where ownership went to him and said, hey, listen, this is what we want to do, and he said, you know what, I would rather step down than, quote, be fired, so to speak. I mean, the timing is a little odd. I feel like this is a move that probably, if you're going to make a move like this, it probably could have had just the same effect if it would have happened at the end of the season. As opposed to now, as far as replacements, again, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they go, the route of a young up and coming guy, whether it's, you look at a Kyle Dubas or, someone with new and fresh ideas. I mean, that seems to be kind of the up and coming thing where it's, you look at guys who are, not necessarily new to the game, but, are different in the sense that, they're, they approach it differently. They approach a job a little differently. I mean, let's face it. That's kind of Kyle Dubas in a nutshell. You look at Arizona. Arizona went really young, and they're, with their general manager. I feel like that's the way it's going to wind up going. I don't know if you can afford to. I don't know if you can afford to actually go in and just basically rehash old names. And I get that sometimes it is an old boys club, but I mean, it's one of those situations I don't know necessarily that that's the best idea for them. And, in that market, you almost need something new. You almost need to, approach things a little differently and try to bring some excitement back to the city. Absolutely.
And maybe the Hounds GM could potentially be looked at with Hounds. But I'm going to go the weird route, Damon. Now that I jumped to you, my prediction is that the Carolina Hurricanes look the Greg McTavish route for the superior. I'm just going to say Greg McTavish is the guy that Ron Francis looks at to be a superior, then hires someone younger to be under Greg McTavish. Or they might look at Lowe. I know Francis and Lowe have a little bit of history together. I'm not sure. I think that is the route I am going with the Carolina Hurricanes with this move. But I'll get your comment, Ron Francis, your take on the step down, quotations, and the search.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird situation in Carolina. I think they've lost a couple games lately, kind of fallen out of the playoff picture. Yeah, definitely a weird time to kind of, I wouldn't say demote or promote, kind of what way you want to put it, becoming president of the hockey operations. But guys like Lowe and McTavish, they're still under the Edmonton Oilers payroll. like I always thought McTavish was definitely a better coach than he was GM. But yeah, I think it's kind of, they got new ownership in Carolina about 2 months ago. So, maybe there's been a disagreement between Francis and ownership as to where the team is heading. Obviously, expectations were higher for them this year, and they haven't met that, obviously. So, yeah, I think, the respect factor that Ron Francis has, playing for Hartford and Carolina, I think, maybe it's just kind of a move that you make to, not make it like a huge thing within the media. Give him a step back, maybe bring somebody else in, still have him around there to, help out with the team because, a very bright hockey mind. I think he's second all time in the NHL in assists, so I think, he knows something about hockey sense, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't really have any replacements off the top of my head. I would think if you're going to, at this point of the season, make a move like that, you probably have somebody internal within the Canes organization, but yeah, we'll see how things kind of play out in the next couple of weeks.
It's going to be interesting for sure with that, as Carolina seems like to be a team that was young, up and coming, and what the potential new GM will do with Jeff Skinner. I wonder if that's a contract that they potentially think about moving, and I wonder if a destination would be in the blue and white if JVR goes somewhere else in the off season. But, fellas, going to move on from that topic. We're going to jump into just a quick little thing here. Taylor Hall's 26-game point streak was snapped tonight to the loss to Paul Maurice and the Winnipeg Jets, and boy, those Jets are absolutely flying high, and those Jets are absolutely amazing right now. They're looking great. They're second in their division, right behind Nashville. Taylor Hall, though, kudos to him. Dan, I know that's a little heartbreaking come from an Edmonton Oilers fan to say to you, but 26 games, getting a point. First to get to that high since Patrick Kane and modern NHL since 2012, 13, or was it 2014? It was within that range that Patrick Kane did it. You got to give the guy kudos, right?
Yeah, it's like, where was that when you played for Edmonton, when, you were the main guy in town? Like, no offense to Taylor Hall. I think he's a great player, and things just didn't work out in Edmonton. But, man, you got to give him props. Like, he's the main guy in New Jersey right now. He doesn't have any superstars to play with, really. It's just 26 games in a row, getting points. I think he's, if not definitely the main reason, other than Corey Schneider, the reason that they're in a playoff spot right now. Got to think they're a last place team in the league last year, or at least won the lottery, bottom four or whatever they were. Yeah, you know what? I think, as much as it's kind of a bittersweet thing for me to see Taylor Hall being very productive in New Jersey, not having him in Edmonton, where we could really use, a good scoring kind of winger right now, it's good for him. And I think if you really want to, the Hart trophies, player most valuable to their team, I think if you really want to put it in that kind of perspective, which it's not always played out that way, it's just usually the best player despite who they play with. I think Taylor Hall, what he's done this year with New Jersey is really the defining meaning of, what it means to be the best player or most valuable player to your team. So I think as far as the Hart Trophy goes, he has to be in consideration, especially if he keeps it up down the stretch here.
Justin, I'll go to you.
I mean, I think in New Jersey, Taylor Hall has finally been allowed to be the role player that he is. Hey, he's got a team behind him now. He's got a goalie and a defense. Those are two things that he never really had in Edmonton. I mean, now he can just be a scoring winger. He doesn't have to be a back-checking forward. Or go out there and score goals. We got other people to play defense. We got other people to stop the puck from going in the net because we have a goalie. There's just stuff he's never played with before, aside from on World Junior teams when he was successful. And I mean, it's not really any different than, Eberle and Long Island right now. He's got a different set of tools to play with, and not that neither of them weren't successful at times at Edmonton, but I mean, they were successful when they were allowed to be in the roles that Eberle's a supportive winger. Taylor Hall's an all-star scoring, he's just firepower. He's offense. There's not, if you were going to look at his card, on NHL, and you were looking at just offense, defense rankings, he's probably a 36 in defense, but a 97 in offense. That's, I don't know, it's nice to see. I mean, it's like Dane said, it's bittersweet for Oilers fans, but as people that watched him on World Junior teams and he thrived on those teams, to see him start to thrive again and have fun playing hockey, and it's nice to see, except that we might have to see New Jersey down the road in a little bit, but it is what it is.
See, fellas, what I'm going to jump to, right now and jump right into Brad's doing the blogging, so I'm going to jump right into the next part of this segment. I'm going to kind of do this with you, Dane, quickly just for a minute. We're going to discuss something that we talked about on the way here. The Chiarelli line in Long Island. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what the Chiarelli line is, it's not a blue line. It's not a red line. It's not a line that he painted in his outdoor rink. It's not T-shirts. It's not a line of clothes. That's right. Now, what the Chiarelli line is, and you can look at it on the Score, on the Score's Instagram page. Give a quick little sentence here, Dane, before I get your quick comment about it, before we go to our next point. How the Oilers gifted the Islanders with the hockey's best second line. Now, I'm going to go with that firstly and say I don't know if it's the best second line. Kind of like Malkin in Pittsburgh. I think that's the best second line in hockey right now. If I really had to go somewhere, there's a lot of lines that definitely compare. But right now, one of the hottest lines, if not top 3 in the second line, maybe even top 5, is Matt Barzal, Jordan Eberle, and Anthony Beauvillier. Now, the Edmonton Oilers can use this trio, and they could have had this trio. Let's jump into how the Oilers could have had this trio. Let's start off by saying thank you, Peter Chiarelli, as per the New York Islander fans. With 2 trades over the past 3 years, the Islanders pieced together their second line from a pair of deals courtesy of the Edmonton Oilers. We all know what happened with Jordan Eberle. Jordan Eberle was traded for Ryan Strome. Strome, who's definitely not living up to expectations and hasn't lived up to the expectations since being on Long Island. Jumping to the other side of the trade. At the beginning of the 2015 draft, the Islanders flipped former 4th overall pick Griffin Reinhart, who was now picked up in the expansion draft by Las Vegas. So the Oilers don't have anything for him. And an odd pickup by the Oilers, given the young blue line had made little progress since his draft. Chiarelli paid a 1st and a 2nd round pick to get him. First X on the point for Chiarelli there. With the first 2 picks, New York called Barzal's name in the first pick. The top scoring center from the WHL, who pocketed 57 points in 44 games from Seattle in his draft year. Scouts loved Barzal, and like I said, I call the guy the mixture of Savard and Datsuk out there. Call me crazy for including Datsuk, but I'm going to do that. What else did the Islanders do in terms of this trade? Well, Gar Snow decided to grab in his little pit of tricks, trade his 3rd round pick, which was the 72nd overall pick, and that Oilers pick, moved it up 5 slots in the order, where he then drafted Shawinigan Cantorac standout Anthony Beauvillier, who had 42 goals and 94 points in his draft year, good for 8th in the QMJHL scoring. So Griffin and Reinhart pretty much went for Matt Barzal and Anthony Beauvillier, and now Anthony Beauvillier and Barzal play together with Jordan Eberle in one of the best second lines in hockey. Dane, I'm sorry. This is not a pick on you show with Taylor Hall. This is just big news in hockey. These are headlines. These are points. You got it. The floor is yours for about a minute here to talk about what you feel about this deal. I'm sure you absolutely love hearing about this trade.
Well, there's a lot of things to put into consideration. We tried to make a deal for Dougie Hamilton when he was playing for the Bruins, but because Chiarelli was a first-year GM in Edmonton, I think there was a bit of not a bitterness, but anyways, Calgary ended up offering 3 picks that were all lesser picks in each round, and they literally traded Dougie Hamilton for a worse deal than Edmonton offered them. So after that, what does Peter Chiarelli do? Well, Griffin Reinhart looks like a decent defenseman. Never been a big fan of Griffin Reinhart, and obviously, the 2 picks that have ended up turning into Matt Barzal and Beauvillier. I don't think it was during that draft. I don't think we were ever, eyeing up Barzal. I think obviously Edmonton at the time was looking for defensive help. So, you can say what you want. The Jordan Eberle trade, I was never a big fan of it. It was a bit of a salary dump, had to make room for, McDavid and Draisaitl's contracts, but it's definitely left us very thin on the wings, especially when it comes to scoring depth. So, Ryan Strome hasn't exactly turned out into, what Oilers fans hope that he would turn into. He's having a decent second half of the season right now, and, maybe giving us some hope for next year. But, you know what? Say what you want. At the end of the day, the Oilers and the Islanders are not in the playoffs. So, how good of a second line is it really?
Nice little stab there from the Oiler fan himself, Dane Hanchero. We're going to move on to the next point, stating the updated 16 power rankings. Firstly, I'm going to go to Brad, then I'm going to go to Justin, and then I'll jump to Dane about comments about the top 16 in the power rankings. I'm going to say them aloud here, fellas. The Super 16, as posted by NHL.com. The Super 16, number 1, the Nashville Predators. Number 2, you have the Tampa Bay Lightning. Number 3, the Boston Bruins. Number 4, the Winnipeg Jets. And it puts a smile on my face. Good for you, Paul Maurice, friend and listener of the Game Sports Show. 5th, Pittsburgh Penguins. 6th, Las Vegas Golden Knights. Last week, number 3. They're dropping a little bit. But did we predict that? Maybe. 7th, Minnesota Wild. 8th, Washington Capitals. The 9th, Toronto Maple Leafs. 10th, the Anaheim Ducks. God, I want to say Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Number 11, the Philadelphia Flyers. Number 12, the San Jose Sharks. And the Evander Kane and a 1 goal and 4 assists in this 3-game point streak since joining the Sharks. Great move by the San Jose Sharks, I may add. Number 13, the Dallas Stars. A team that I feel is pretty underrated. The New Jersey Devils being number 14. The Los Angeles Kings being number 15. And surprise, surprise, number 16, the Florida Panthers, a team that is on fire, both outside weather-wise and inside the hockey rink, with others receiving credentials and the ones that dropped out. Calgary is the one who dropped out of the Sweet 16 and the Super 16. Other points, you got to give credit to the Colorado Avalanche and the Columbus Blue Jackets. So that's the rankings, fellas. Brad, I'm going to go to you first about your comments about these rankings. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I know the standings in the NHL might say it a little bit different. Get your points.
You know what? I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, let's face it. I mean, having Nashville as high as they are and having them at 1. I mean, let's face it. That's a team that's won 9 of 10. It's a team that's playing extremely well right now. Again, Tampa, winners of 8 of 10. They've got points in 9 of their last 10 games. So that's a team obviously playing really well. Boston, I mean, they've won 7 of 10. Again, a team that's playing really well. So it's hard to, be surprised about where some of these teams are. But the Winnipeg Jets, I'm a big Winnipeg Jets guy, and not just because Paul Maurice. But here's a team that's, it's gone 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 4 straight. This is a team that it's nice to finally see them having some success. There's a lot of talent there. I mean, I've always been a huge Mark Scheifele fan. Since his days in junior, he's a guy that, I love the way he plays the game. A guy like Brian Little. I mean, a guy who maybe doesn't always get maybe the notoriety, but I mean, he's a guy who's been very productive and been very solid for them. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, I wouldn't say I disagree with the rankings, to be honest. I mean, I think those are, pretty accurate when you consider how well some of these teams have played in the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Dave McCaig here alongside Brad Kochmilio, Justin Heichel, and Dane Hanchel. Justin, and then jump to you. We have the Super 16 to talk about, plus a couple other points where we talk about the Leafs. We have about 10 minutes left on this part of the show. Given a little bit extra time on the show, given that, it's the only show this week of the Game Sports Show. And also, because this is the big meat and potatoes of the show, talking about the NHL, I want to get your opinion on the Super 16, the Sweet 16, the Sexy 16, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I mean, let's just call it the, I don't know. Yeah, let's just roll with the power rankings. I mean, I don't think we need a fancy name for it. It is what it is. Based on the way the Leafs have played the last 4 games, I honestly think they're a little higher than they need to be. I mean, that's... honestly, though, that's... Yeah, do I like getting on board with all these the bandwagon Leaf fans that have come out of the woodwork lately, and getting excited about Leafs are making the playoffs. Everybody watch out. But in actuality, we lost one guy. Okay, yeah, that one guy is Austin Matthews, but we played pretty good without him early on in the year, and to lose him now, it's a totally different team. We got 4 lines out there that are skating like me, and if anyone's ever seen me skate, they understand how funny of a joke that is. Like, these guys are lost. Like, absolutely lost out there. No one looks comfortable. There's the only 2 players on that team that look comfortable right now are Bozak and Van Riemsdyk. And, I mean, when you played together for 35 years, you probably should be comfortable together. That's just a fact of life. But do I think their issues are just stemming from, Matthews being injured and their forwards not really jiving? No, I think we got a lot of goaltender fatigue going on right now. And I mean, that's not just a problem for us. That's Tampa's goalie. Vasilevsky just admitted to the media. He said, I'm tired. So I played 20 games behind Ben Bishop last year, and you think after you play 20 games, I can play 50, no problem. I can play 60, no problem. And he said in an interview this week, I played 50 games, and you know what, man, that's tough. He said, I can't prepare the same for games now as I did the beginning of the year. He says, you have to learn. You have to figure out a way that you can adapt and bring yourself through the stretch. And so to me, that kind of thinks that maybe Tampa's, secret formula last year was the 2 goalies, and that's what fell apart when they got rid of Bishop. And that could be what the Leafs' kryptonite's going to be moving forward. Should we have maybe played McElhinney a little more earlier on throughout the season just to get him some reps with that group of forwards, a little more comfort. Like you remember a couple of years ago with the way the team would play in front of Reimer versus the way the team would play in front of anyone else. And I'm starting to see that with Anderson. And I don't know if that's complacency or, if that's just fatigue. But a lot of these teams that you're seeing in these power rankings, they've got a backup goalie that's seen, more than single-digit games. And those are the teams that, are, what do we got? The Minnesotas, the Florida with James Reimer and Luongo. Like, those are the teams that are going to be problems. That's what's going to be an issue. It's these teams that have been riding high in the rankings, all year. I mean, Nashville's a freak of nature. They surprised me at 1. But they've team defense too, right? So, I don't know. Nashville surprised me at 1. The Leafs where they are, I thought the Leafs should be a little lower, just the way they played over the last couple games. Florida sneaking in while not in a playoff position. Because I believe Columbus has that last wild card spot still point-wise. So that one surprised me a little bit, but there's not, at this point in the season, there's not a whole lot of, whoa, that's crazy.
For sure. Definitely, I like the reference with the goaltenders for sure. Dane, your opinion on the Super 16?
Yeah, just to touch on the goaltender thing before I go into the power rankings. Josh has a good point. You gotta look at Gibson, Anderson were kind of a 1-2 punch in Anaheim there for a bit, and now both those goalies have been put in a position where they playing a lot more games than even what the average starting goaltender has to play. And fatigue is definitely something you got to consider at this point of the season. Toronto, maybe they can jump up into the second slot and get home ice. I doubt it. They are where they are, right? So, and it's not like McElhinney's been playing bad this series. He's had a couple really good games for Edmonton. Give Anderson a break, Maybe even let McElhinney run 2 games if he has, a really good game. Play him the next night, especially, even a back-to-back. He's a backup goalie. You can do a back-to-back, no problem. But yeah, when it comes to that, I find even Talbot last year of Edmonton, the guy played 72 games last year for an Oilers team, and not that he looked fatigued in the playoffs, but I just think for these kind of teams that have young or goalies that used to be a backup that are now a starting goalie, I feel like they're really riding them a lot right now, and I don't think the situation in Toronto they have any reason to be riding Anderson. But when it comes to the power rankings, I think Nashville is exactly where they should be. Lost in the Cup final last year. Dominating, a really great division along with Winnipeg right now. I think those are the top two dogs. Vegas has kind of slipped down the rankings a little bit via, a couple losses. And, as soon as Vegas loses a game or two, everybody's on their case there. So, as far as the power rankings go, Tampa, Nashville, Winnipeg, Boston, those are my teams going forward. And, watch out for Pittsburgh. They're creeping up on teams lately, starting to get hot at the right time, maybe 3 cups in a row, who knows. But, we'll see what happens. But, I think the power rankings are pretty good.
Definitely ones that I think I can agree with. And we're going to move on, fellas, here with I'd like to get your opinions, listeners, in terms of the power rankings, what you think. There's a couple topics we're going to jump into before we take our break. And that is, the hot teams, the NHL, Tampa, Florida, Boston, and obviously Arizona, 7-2-1. Got to give Arizona a little bit of credit. That poor non-hockey town, I should say. But definitely a place that deserves a little bit of credit in terms of, again, when they're hot, and they're hot. Sioux native Brandon Perlini being there. Hopeful to come on the show very soon as well. So we got our eyes on Arizona. Good for you for that success. I don't know if the playoffs are in reach. I don't think so at all. But you can definitely finish the year strong. That's positive for Arizona, for the young group over there. And like I said, Florida being hot, watch out for those Panthers. A couple things we're going to jump into for the Leafs. We only got a couple minutes here left. The playoff picture we were going to jump into, but obviously the only thing that's pretty much a certainty right now is the Leafs and Bruins, it almost seems like. But they both still have to officially clinch before we can speculate with that. But with the Leafs, Justin and Brad and Dane, and bring you in on this quickly. We talked about Anderson's struggles the past few starts, maybe fatigue setting in, that outdoor game. They lost the outdoor game to Washington. There was a lot of back and forth action that first period until the second period kicked in. Then Anderson got chased for Curtis McElhinney. Anderson's definitely showing signs of struggling the past 2 games with losses against Buffalo as well. Big game against Pittsburgh this Saturday for the Buds. But the big things surrounding the Leafs is definitely Austin Matthews' injury. Hurry up, Austin, and get ready and healthy 100% for sure. But Lou Lamoriello's contract, which we've already jumped into, we'll say quickly here. There's someone's contract who I expect them to re-sign for another year. I expect Lou to be there for one more season. Then Dubas, you got to think, or Hunter is going to be taken over for that team. Would it be smart, Brad, I'll go to you first, would it be smart for Lou Lamoriello to be re-signed here, or do you think it's maybe possibly good since the Leafs have already established themselves as a top, is it fair to say 16 team in the league, or top 10 team in the league in terms of being a threat in the National Hockey League? Do you think that'd be fair to say? Sign him or let him walk? Well, it wouldn't be let him walk, that's quite rude to say, but in terms of let him retire or move on to a different role.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, for me, I almost look at it as I don't know that you could necessarily go wrong either way. For me personally, I almost feel like maybe one more year it wouldn't hurt. I mean, you have a guy who's built a cup winner. This is a guy who's been there. He knows what it takes to win a Stanley Cup. It might not hurt to have him around for one more year, especially with the way this team has developed over the last couple of years. This is an organization that's taken a lot of steps forward here, over the last year or two. I don't know that it necessarily is a bad idea to have him around for one more year, have that experience, and then you're still grooming. Let's face it, you're still grooming, whether it's Kyle Dubas, Mark Hunter, whatever they decide to do there. You're giving those guys one extra year of, you're almost giving those guys one extra year of development as well, right? I mean, I don't know, in that position, I don't know that there's necessarily a bad way to do it. I feel like for me it would be good to have him around for another year. Just, his knowledge is invaluable, I feel.
Absolutely, especially the crucial time of signing Matthews and the guys who extensions. I feel I've said this on the show before and you guys ridiculed me. Having Lou there to sign Matthews is critical to an extension. I feel like with him there, it's a bit different. Now, Justin, let me get your comment quick before we jump to our multiple choice segment to wrap up our NHL discussion. Your comments with Lou Lamoriello's contract.
Well, I mean, I believe when they signed him on, it was a 5-year contract. I'm not sure if it was 2 years at GM and then 3 years as an undefined role, or 3 years at GM and 2 years as an undefined role. But regardless, he's not leaving the Toronto Maple Leafs organization for at least another 2 years. So whether he's mentoring Mark Hunter, Kyle Dubas, or he's just going to continue being the general manager. It's tough to say. I mean, we're not there. The Toronto Maple Leafs organization, since Lou Lamoriello has been there and Brandon Shanahan has been there, it's easier to get secrets out of like government organizations now than it is the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, who knows? Maybe I'm going to be the new GM. Maybe. I'm just going to toss that rumor out there. I don't know.
It's going to be Bob McKenzie. He's finally going to come out of the analyst regime.
Maybe Paul McKenzie or maybe Pierre McGuire. Maybe Pierre McGuire is a front runner for that Carolina Hurricanes job. Fellas, we're going to jump into our famous multiple choice segment here. 3 questions. You know the drill. 3 questions. Just give your answer. You don't need to give me a description, especially with wrapping up the second part of the show here on the game. We're here live at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. First question. Hart Trophy favorite between Taylor Hall, Nikita Kucherov, and Connor McDavid.
You know what? I got to go to Tampa. I got to go Nikita Kucherov on this one. I love the way he's played this year.
Good answer, Brad. Short and sweet. Danner?
You know what? Taylor Hall out of the 3, as much as I like McDavid, and, he's literally been carrying the team on his back, and they still are where they are. I think, you got to give it to Taylor Hall for, the value of one player for a team.
Justin?
I think Taylor Hall, hands down. He's made offensive hockey in New Jersey a thing.
I'm going to go with Nikita Kucherov. So the table is split with that one. I just feel like his point production this year for sure. Jack Adams. We're going to do an update of the last month and a half ago. We did the Jack Adams discussion. The different options, though, of sorts. Paul Maurice, John Cooper, or Gerard Gallant. I'm going to go over to the lucky winner, Dane, first.
You know what? Vegas is struggling in the last couple games there. We're going to go Paul Maurice. You know what I mean? The team, had faith in him and shoveled day off, re-signed the new contracts, had a belief that, that team was going to, that coaching staff and, the upstairs staff was going to, bring that team, where they wanted to be as an organization. And look, they're second place in their division right now, right behind, in my opinion, the best team in hockey in Nashville. And, they finally got goaltending. That's all that team needed. I think they had everything else. And you know what? I think Paul Maurice was still, a good coach 2 years ago. He's the same guy he's always been. But I think now that he has a team that, he can work with and look at how good they're doing this year, I think a favorite to go to the Cup Finals in the West.
I'll go second. Paul Maurice. Short and sweet for me. I know who Justin's going with. That's why I'm going over to him third.
I want to say Paul Maurice so bad, just based on the hometown thing. But Gerard Gallant, man. He's got a team full of just guys. It's not guys that nobody wanted because they were drafted. So George McPhee obviously wanted them, but it's just a team full of guys that had to come together over... I mean, not as much time. They had more time than an Olympic team has to come together, but some of these guys aren't high-end caliber players. They're just hockey players. You know what I mean? Like, Dave's just a hockey player some days. Some days, he's Dave. That's it. So, for him to be able to pull these guys together and get them focused on a common goal and just get them playing, like, lights-out hockey, it's hands down him to me.
I think a little bit of bias because you kind of look like him a tad. You're a bit better looking, but he's like an older version of you. So you got Paul Maurice for myself, Paul Maurice for Dane, Gerard Gallant for Heichel. Brad, you could be the tiebreaker or the deciding point.
Yeah, you know what? For me, I think this is a lot closer than maybe you guys had it, but I have to go with Gerard Gallant. It's for me it was down to him and Paul Maurice, but I mean just with the whole idea with everything that Gerard Gallant has been through, I feel like it's just the way he has handled everything and the way he has bounced back is for me it's him. And like I said, that's no disrespect to Paul Maurice at all. I mean he's without a doubt he's in the running, and I think that vote comes down to those two, and I think that vote is probably extremely close. But, I mean, for me, I feel like just his history, Gerard Gallant gets the edge.
And where's the NHL award show, fellas? Vegas. Right? Hey, Vegas.
If Vegas wins the division, you have to give it to Gerard Gallant. But they're struggling a little bit. Anaheim's coming on. If they maybe come the second seed, I think you really got to consider Paul Maurice.
Good points for sure. Fellas, we're going to take a quick break here. It's Dave McKeag alongside Justin Heichel, Dane Hanchro, and Brad Cochamilio. We're going to take a break. You're going to hear from our sponsors. We're going to have some more Molson products here. We're going to have some spicy pieroga. That's a new word. Spicy pierogi pizza here. Delicious. Courtesy of Aaron Grisdack, Mitch Wilson, and Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. When I come back, the fellas and I, we're going to be talking some Junior A discussion. We know Brad Cochamillo is going to spearhead most of that in terms of the news, and with the Sioux Thunderbirds and the Soo Eagles being a playoff matchup, and then obviously the Greyhounds tonight in upcoming games for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. So don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back here on The Game Sports Show.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
Thank you for tuning in to the Game Sports Show, broadcasting Thursday nights from Boston Pizza in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and online at thegamesportshow.podbean.com. I hope you're enjoying the broadcast. Now, if you want to hear more of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national talk show involving the world of sports, I encourage you to visit our website, thegamesportshow.com. There you can hear a couple other broadcasts of the Game Sports Show. Monday nights, we do the game from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sioux, Michigan, 6 to 7 o'clock on the radio. WUPN, Eagle 95.1 locally, or online at radioeaglesioux.com. Now, the full 2-hour show can be heard on the podcast page of the game at thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or you can go to our YouTube channel. Just look for Scott Nason. In that one, as yours truly, along with Dave McKeag and our weekly contributors, Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports, along with EJ Russell on the Team Wireless Hot Seat. We focus on local, regional, and national sports, including high school basketball and hockey, junior hockey, Laker athletics, and the Detroit sports scene. And Mr. Electric Avenue Dave McKeag also broadcasts a show on Wednesday night from Sports Center Bar and Grill in Sioux, Ontario, along with his regular contributors Jamie Antonello, Justin Heichel, and Dane Hanchro. They focus on football with their In the Pocket segment, talking about the NFL along with basketball and the NBA, and other sports including tennis, golf, soccer, and the WWE. Once again, you can hear all three versions of the game at our website, thegamesportshow.com, or our podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look for the Scott Nason channel. And thank you for listening, and keep it locked here to the game for all your local, regional, and national sports talk that you just can't get enough of.
Get wicked at the Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for the whole family. Start off with some appetizers like the crab dip, served with warm non-bread strips and soft pretzel bites, or their antibiotic and hormone-free boneless chicken wings with 5 choices of sauces. Entrees include the barbecue pulled pork sandwich, the #1 selling drunken cow burger, or Philly cheesesteaks, and they're on special all day Thursdays. The Wicked Sister also offers a gluten-free menu and catering. Bring the whole family. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashman Street, open 7 days a week.
Hi, this is Paul Maurice from the Winnipeg Jets, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McKeag, here live at Boston Pizza, where I've been all night here, March the 8th, 2018. I'm alongside Brad Cochamillo to my right, Dane Hanchel to my left, and Justin Heichel to my northwest.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
We'll go with that. It'll be more like my front left to make it in layman's terms. Been here live at Boston Pizza Ste. Marie all night, where it's been after 9 p.m., so you know what that means. Their daily specials, it's $4 bar rails, $9 schooners for those Molson Canadian and Coors Light products, half price off appetizers, and myself, Dane, Justin, and Brad have been enjoying the Molson products. A nice spicy pierogi pizza. Oh, delicious. You got to come on down to Boston Pizza where you're among friends to give that a try out. And obviously, to the great service here at Boston Pizza and the great atmosphere, as always, at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. So, Brad, Justin Dane, going to bring you guys in. Brad, I'm going to more so lean towards you right now in terms of the Junior A update in Sault Ste. Marie and also with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. With the junior hockey playoffs have now been decided. We know the teams that are playing each other, and especially in the Algoma region, we know what teams are playing each other. It's going to be come on down to a very, very good playoff game, I believe. Very good playoff rounds, I feel, with Soo Thunderbirds playing against the Soo Eagles. We have Blind River playing Elliott Lake. The winner of Blind River and Elliott Lake gets a date with Rayside. Now, what are your comments in terms of the playoffs? Little update from the NOJHL, Brad.
Yeah, this Soo Eagles, Soo Thunderbird series is going to be a wild one. These are two teams that basically split the regular season series. They played 10 times. I think both teams won 5 games each. A couple overtime games mixed in there as well. And that's a series that's going to be close. This is a Thunderbird team that I don't know that too many people expected to be as good as they were. Just with a new coaching staff, a lot of turnover in players coming from last year's group to this year. So they're a fairly new group. A lot of young talent. They've been real solid all year. That's a series that could probably is probably going to be the closest out of the first round series throughout the league. You got Blind River playing Elliott Lake with like you said, the winner of that series going on to play Rayside. I feel like Blind River's a better team in that series and probably should come out of that series. But it's not going to be easy. I mean, Blind River's got a nice club. They've made a good jump. They struggled for a handful of years, but Kyle Brick's done a great job there getting that organization, back onto a good note. And I think they're gonna give Rayside a run. I mean, I still feel like and this is obviously assuming they get by Elliott Lake, which I feel like they will. I feel like they'll give Rayside a run, but Rayside's, the team. It's probably going to be. I feel like it's going to be a Rayside Thunderbirds division final in the West, and it's going to be an interesting playoff. I mean, there were some good teams in the league this year. Things were, in the West Division, things were really tight. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm interested to see how the first round here plays out.
Absolutely, and the Soo Thunderbirds and the Soo Eagles start March the 17th, Saturday. Do you have information with the schedule with the Thunderbirds and Eagles?
Yeah, they're pretty much running essentially every second day. I mean, in typical playoff series, they'll play 2 games over here. They'll play Saturday, Monday over here, and then they'll shift over to the venerable Puller Stadium.
Puller Burgers and beers at the Puller Stadium.
Yeah, it's a good rink, good facility. Nothing wrong with those old school barns.
Yes, and with the border battle for sure with the Soo Eagles and the Soo Thunderbirds is going to definitely be a series to watch. Coach Jim Cappy of the Soo Eagles yelling at the good old refs, and it's going to be a well coached, and I know there's somebody who's quite familiar with the NOJHL and coaching who's been with the Thunderbirds, Beavers, and Eagles as well in terms of coaching. It's definitely going to be a great first round series to watch, but also Blind River and Elliott Lake. Scott Nace and I have said you don't want to play Elliott Lake in the first round. That team's going to exhaust you. That team's going to work you to the limits, and Blind River is definitely going to be tested in that series. Despite being the more powerful team, I still feel that Blind River is the favorite to win that series, but you never know in the game of hockey. It's always, you never know, and definitely, I know Joey Miller, assistant GM of the Soo Thunderbirds, excited to get his first playoffs underway and excited to see the team that he was a part of in building. Yeah, let's see his team out there on the ice battle a very good series against the Soo Eagles, which you said were split down the middle this year. So it's going to probably be a 6 or 7 game series. I wouldn't be surprised. And I'll tell you right now, if the Thunderbirds got to go to the Puller Stadium, though, in Game 6, being down a game, I'm a little bit worried because I can tell you that Puller Stadium environment is quite hostile. I can tell you from experience and from knowledge, experience based on playing there and playing against the Eagles there. So it's going to definitely be a great, lively atmosphere at the Puller Stadium. Definitely good luck to all the Algoma region teams in terms of the Soo Thunderbirds, Blind River Beavers, and also the Soo Eagles. Definitely, I know you're an Upper Peninsula Michigan team. You probably don't like to be thrown to the Algoma region, but I consider you part of Canada when I say that. So good luck to the teams for sure, and to the coaching staff and players involved in the NLJHL playoffs. So we will keep you updated week to week with the Game Sports Show to the conclusion of the NLJHL playoffs leading up to the Dudley Hewitt Cup, then ultimately leading up to the RBC, which is in Chilliwack, British Columbia. Nailed the name. It's going to be, and will there be an NOJHL team representing us there? Will it be the Thunderbirds? Will it be Powassan? Will it be Rayside? Will it be Blind River? Will it be Soo Eagles? Who knows? Might even be Elliott Lake. You never know what can happen with the NOJHL. So make sure you keep tuned. Get on the schedule. You can look at the Soo Thunderbirds schedule on Facebook. Soo Thunderbirds website also. You can check the NOJHL site and also with the Soo Eagles and Blind River on their respective sites and handles and feeds to get the schedule. Make sure you get your butts out there, listeners, and watch the Soo Thunderbirds, especially play the Eagles. It's going to be a very, very, very exciting playoff series. Dave McCaig here alongside Brad, Dane, and Justin. Guys, we're going to jump into right now. Felt like I discluded Justin and Dane a little bit from the NOJHL talk, which I'm sure they'll forgive me for. We're going to jump into the OHL discussion right now. The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, Brad, I'm going to go right to you with this before we get some comments in terms of, the expectations going into the playoffs for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and Sault Ste. Marie on Justin and Dane's notes. Brad, tonight, tough loss against Windsor. A quiet bus. I know you had some comments with the teams and coach staff and whatnot. You were working away while we were recording the show, multitasking, posting a story and everything that you can see on Soo Today and on Facebook and whatnot. You can comment about that. And what about the players? What were the comments? What was the atmosphere like after tonight's game? And what about the upcoming games? The season finale is March 18th. Playoffs right around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Gettinger, Greyhound captain, he wasn't pleased, and nor can I say I blame him. I mean, it was a game where they struggled out of the gate, and again, you talk about how good that league is. You can't do that in the OHL and expect to win a hockey game, and that's what we saw tonight. I mean, the Greyhounds, they just seem to be a step behind. They lost a lot of battles, and in the end, Windsor ends up coming out with a 3-2 win. The Greyhounds make things close with a late goal, but it's a game that they were very disappointed in, but this is a team that is finally back pretty well healthy. They had everybody back in the lineup. Connor Timmins played tonight. He's been out for about 6 weeks now. So getting him back in the lineup is huge. And this is a team where the expectations are always high, regardless of what happens, and regardless of whether guys are coming back and trying to get their game legs back. Their expectations are through the roof, and as they should be. I mean, this is a team that's only lost, after tonight, 7 regulation games all year. That's no team has ever lost fewer games in regulation an entire season than that right now. I mean, the only team was that 04-05 London Knights team that was dominant. So, this is a team that the expectations are huge every night, and they expect to win every night. And for them, it's a big road trip this weekend. They're going into Kitchener on Friday, Owen Sound Sunday afternoon. 2 big games for them, big conference games for them. Set the tone for the homestand next week and get ready for playoffs in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Definitely a playoffs that we expect as Sault Ste. Marie population. Memorial Cup or fail. Not just an OHL championship. It's Memorial Cup or fail. And guys, that's where I'm going to bring in Justin and Dane with this. What's the feel like in the Soo about the Hounds? I've always said here on the Game Sports Show and with Scott years ago that I compared the Sault Ste. Marie hockey market to Mecca, Toronto Maple Leaf environment, Montreal, and here's why. Because we are so easy to criticize them when the team's losing, and we're so easy to support when they're winning. When they're down, we kick them when we're down, just much like those hockey markets do. When they're up, we promote them. But when they lose, when they're good, we're heavy to go, whoa, we don't hit panic button, but we criticize. Tonight, tough loss against Windsor. A team that they should beat. Basically, they should beat every team based on this team, based on their record. But it's the OHL. It's hockey. Nights happen. Off nights happen. Doesn't matter if you have Radish, Kachuk, Gettinger, you have Timmins in the lineup. You're going to find games where you're going to lose some games. But I've said it all along that the Hounds are going to be a team that you cannot beat in 7 games. I can't see a team touching the Hounds in 7 games, let alone beating them in 4 games. They've only lost 7 all year to this current point. Dan, I'll go to you first in terms of the feel around Sault Ste. Marie, in terms of this, how awesome this team is, and what are we expecting from this Hound team?
I think if you ask the players, the coaching staff, anybody, the fans, anybody that's involved with the Greyhounds, I think, at the very least, a Memorial Cup, appearance is not gonna. That's the expectation, right? It's not just winning the OHL championship this year, and like Brad was saying, like if you look at the last team that had a similar record to what the Greyhounds have this year. It was, the 2005 or 6 London Knights, who, if I'm not mistaken, beat Sidney Crosby and Benoit Pouliot and the boys in the Memorial Cup Finals. So, I think like the expectation. No, not that year. That was a couple years after that. But either way, like I said, I think the expectation in the Soo and like within the organization and just as the average fan is, like the Memorial Cup appearance, if not to win the Memorial Cup. You look at the CHL power rankings. We've been at the top for, I got to think, 3-4 months now. Yeah. Pretty much since the start of the season there. So, you know what? Having a couple losses, at this part of the season, especially against teams like against Windsor, who, are, a big, big team in the OHL this year. I think that kind of puts things in perspective, and anything can happen going into the playoffs. So I think the Greyhounds are going to know that they need to be on their top of the game, whether it's the first, second, third, fourth round Memorial Cup. They have to play their best hockey upcoming, and I think they will. I have a hard time seeing anybody beating them in the Western Conference. Like I said, it's hockey. It's why you play the game. Anything can kind of happen. But, anything less than a Memorial Cup appearance, if not in a Memorial Cup championship, will be a disappointment for the organization and the city of Sault Ste. Marie.
Justin, I'm going to go over to you. Comment on how the Soo is like a big hockey market in terms of criticism. This was known as Little Hockey Town, Ontario, if I remember correctly, being when I was younger. I don't know how it is. From what I understand nowadays, it's a little bit different in the hockey world. How we criticize, and just about this Hound team overall, the expectations is so great. We talk about it each week, I understand, but it's good to have real talk about how the Hounds' expectation is as the playoffs near.
Well, I mean, growing up in town here, over the years, you kind of this town kind of unites itself. But when it comes springtime, when the Greyhounds they make the playoffs, weather starts to get nice. But what people have to remember, too, is when the team is this good, they're still playing other teams in the OHL where these kids are still really good hockey players, and you are going to lose some games. It happens. That's the fun, awesome thing about sports, is that anything can happen on any given night. That's if goaltender interference calls in the NHL this season have taught us anything can happen and anyone can win. But on a serious note, like the Hounds this year, like with 7 losses, you've painted a target on your back as well. And any team that comes into your barn or you go into their barn, they're coming for you. And they're going to play you. And if they can beat you, that's a testament to the team that they have going into the playoffs too. Like that's where we're at this year. Like, at this time in the season, like these teams are trying to see where they're at. And the Greyhounds are trying to get themselves in a mindset where they got to get ready for the playoffs. And a loss isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a reality check, too. It puts these kids... It makes them understand that they're not invincible. Because growing up and in high school, you play on teams that are undefeated, you kind of get this mindset that you're the best, and you're always the best. But you're not. Like you're not. That's you as a team. Maybe we're the best, but if you're not doing your part, anyone can win on any given night. And that's the Hounds need to have that mindset going forward, going into the playoffs. I firmly believe, and with you, Dave, that no one's going to beat them in 7. Not a chance. But they also can't think that they're indestructible. That's a bad mindset to go into a game with in sports, especially with these young kids. But I'm looking forward to a good playoff run. I agree with everyone at the table where I think it's Memorial Cup or bust. But I'm looking for some real good hockey games. That's
definitely be a good Western Conference final if they play against, or when they play against the Sarnia Sting, who, Brad, let's go to you quickly when we wrap up the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhound discussion here. Get your comment, action, how this town might be like a very critical hockey market in terms of how we criticize. I'm going to get your point on that, especially being in depth with Soo today. But also, Memorial Cup or bust? Is that fair to say?
No doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. This is, with the way this year has gone, there's no doubt that this is a Memorial Cup or bust season for the Greyhounds. You know, I look back to that 2014-15 team, and, you know, that had a similar vibe. But I think with the way this year has been, that vibe is even bigger. Although I will say I feel like that 2014-15 team was more talented than this group. But this is their year. I mean, they built this team following that 14-15 group. You know, they upset Sarnia in 15-16 in the playoffs as a 7 seed. The core group from that group is the 19-year-olds on this team. They're built for this year. They were looking 3 years ahead of time, and there's no doubt it's Memorial Cup or bust. And, you know, that's the way it should be. I mean, that's the mentality they need to have. And, you know, that's why they went out and got Jordan Sandbrook and Taylor Radish. They went out and got two guys who have Memorial Cup experience from last year. They went through a long playoff run. They went through a number of long playoff runs in Erie. That's why you want those guys, just for this moment. And you know what? I get, you know, how critical fans in this city are. And you know what? Hey, I'm all for that. You know, this is probably, in all the OHL markets, this might be the toughest OHL market to play in, just because there are a lot of very knowledgeable fans in the city. I mean, some of them are very opinionated, which is fine.
Are we one of them?
I definitely think we're one of them. Definitely think we're one of them. You know, but I mean, I think that's what makes it fun is, you know, and I think you know, as much as the players, sometimes you kind of want to just, you know, have your moment and not have to worry about the fans. I think they appreciate it too, because they know that, you know, if they're having success, these fans are going to be with them right through it. Like that building, if that team goes on a run and goes to the OHL final, remember 3 years ago, that 14-15 team, that building was packed in that series with Erie, and it might have been the most fun I've had covering a Greyhound team ever. And I feel like the mentality would be the same this year. I feel like that building the roof would blow off if that team won that OHL title at home this year. It would absolutely blow the roof off that place. And you know what? It's exciting to think that there's the potential for a team to make a run like that here.
Absolutely, and it's so exciting. So exciting. And that was Brad Cochmelio, newly on the Game Sports Show, second week, and you can get his Soo Today columns and follow him on Facebook. He's got great columns and great opinion when it comes to the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and the junior circuit team, along with expert knowledge when it comes to professional sports as well. Fellas, going to do the wrap-up portion of the show. First, before I jump into my usual sign-off paragraph, I like to call it. Brad, I want to go to you first. I want to say thanks for coming by. Next week, March the 15th, we'll be back here live at Boston Pizza. Hope to see you here again, obviously being a part of the show. And obviously, March 17th, get that hair done.
There's going to need to be a lot of work to make this hair look good.
Daner, thanks for coming on by, pal, as always.
Yeah, one of my final weeks before I headed up to the far north of Ontario there. So, yeah, looking forward to the next couple of weeks. Thanks for having me, Dave.
We'll have you call in throughout the summer, especially when it comes to our baseball portion. Justin, and jump over to you and say thanks as always. Thanks for getting off the couch this time. And, you know, first time in 3 weeks, I bet you're allowed to have days off. You did accumulate vacation days within the past 3 years, but they are unpaid days.
Unpaid days, eh? All right, well, I'm going to have to I'll file in the cushions, see if I can get some expenses for those, to get some new stitching done on them, but... No, it was good to be back. You know, it's nice to get bantering with everyone else. You guys don't tell me I'm an idiot Leaf fan, so it's nice.
We don't have even paid EL away days here. We don't do that here on the Game Sports Show. So I want to say thanks to Brad, to Dane, to Justin. I want to say thanks to Mitch Wilson, the famous Mitch Wilson, who is currently cleaning or counting or texting or something over there. However, I got to say special thanks, obviously, to Boston Pizza and Aaron Grisdak as well, and to the great listeners here at Boston Pizza. Live atmosphere as always. Scott Nason, our board operator, as always, the heart and soul of the Game Sports Show, the notorious Nason, the guy who invented Coffee with the Coach, branched it off to the Game Sports Show with my input, I must add. Sorry, Scott, I had to say that as well. And to see grow the show with your brother, you've been awesome. So great board work as always. And to our sponsors, Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. Also in Sault Ste. Marie, Sports Center Bar and Grill, North Shore Sports Sonata, the Salon, the Superior Pro Shop, and Discover the Canvas, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, Pingator Cleaners, and the Wicked Sister. And a friendly reminder, go to thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Simply follow through Facebook or by downloading the free app, ! On the app, or on the Scott Nason YouTube channel you can follow as well. Soon to be Game Sports Show YouTube channel. I'll keep you posted with that. Also check out our website. It's launched, www.thegamesportshow.com. And within the next couple weeks, we're going to have our modeling pictures on there as well. That's the only part that's still under construction, is the updated pictures on the front page, where you can definitely get caught up with all the previous shows. And speaking of shows, next week we had one more adjustment to the Game Sports Show as there's finals in basketball. We do not have a show Monday, March the 12th at the Wicked Sister. We will either have a show Monday or Wednesday at Sports Center Bar and Grill, substituting that. But as always, we usually have a show Wednesdays at Sports Center Bar and Grill, and it's most likely going to be just a Monday cancellation, and we're just going to have a show Wednesday at Sports Center Bar and Grill at 9:30 p.m. where myself, Jamie, Justin, potentially Dane will be there as well, and Dustin Grondin. Then Thursdays, we'll be back here at Boston Pizza next Thursday, March the 15th at 9:30, and we'll be here until about 11 o'clock. Talking the NHL scene, the OHL, NLJHL scene, and maybe even a little bit of baseball. Because on Mondays we have local sports and professional sports, with Wednesdays being football, basketball, and random roundtable discussion, and with Thursday being hockey and with baseball and the local sports scene. And a reminder for the trivia question. What are the 8 beers that are on tap here at Boston Pizza? Send your answer at thegamesportshowssm@gmail.com or through my Facebook page, or comment on the Podbean page or YouTube page to get your chance to win a prize from Boston Pizza. Special shout out as well to the big brother, big sister of Sault Ste. Marie, and to Northern Critters in Need, who are going to be a part of the Game Sports Show when our merchandise gets launched by the end of March as well, with proceeds going towards the cost of the shirts and towards these 2 great charities. Again, next week, no show Monday at the Wicked Sister. We'll be back with the Game Sports Show most likely Wednesday next week, March the 14th. And we'll be back here live at Boston Pizza March the 15th. And then we'll be back to our regular schedule March the 19th at the Wicked Sister on Eagle 95.1. Again, for Justin, Dane, and Brad, and myself, and Scott Nason, and Boston Pizza, amongst the whole crew at the Game Sports Show, to you, the listeners, much thanks as always. And to all you out there, have a great rest of your day or night. And we'll be back to hear and talk to you next week.